back to another video, and hello if you're new to this channel. My name is Emma. I am the one that runs this YouTube channel as well as the Instagram and written blog Tea and God, as you had probably guessed. But before we dive right on in today, I just want to say that today's video is not going to be like our typical content because, oh, that looks bad. Because instead of doing our normal Bible study routine like we have been doing for the past, I don't even know how many months now, I did a poll on Instagram today to figure out if I should try and do another, like, self-development, self-confidence, I don't know what I said. I don't know what the word was. But, like, kind of another figuring out kind of who you are and stuff series, or if I should do another book series. And the poll said that you guys were interested in having kind of another like self-confidence series. And I do also want to say, if you are new here, we do have there's a series, and I want to say it's Becoming a Better Person or Partner or something like that, because that was kind of one that was focusing on what you need to be able to be comfortable within and in yourself first before you go into a relationship. So that one has a lot to do already with, you know, growing in self-confidence, with like figuring out who you are and your own identity and things. So I'm gonna start this video by doing our tea of the day still, but instead of doing a normal study, I want to share some tools that I've used over the years that have been really helpful in figuring out and developing self-confidence in myself. So before I ramble on too much longer, because that was a little bit of a long-winded explanation, and it will make sense as we go into the video, I want to spotlight our tea of the day. So I don't know if I steeped it long enough, if I'm being honest, or if I had the water hot enough or whatever, but it's a green tea blend here, and it is by Tiesta tea. My grandma got this for me for Christmas, and it is apparently one of their slenderizer ones. I don't really know what that means, but that's what it is, and it's the fruity Pebbles flavor. Now, I just want to tell you that this smells incredible. There is blackberry, pineapple bits, papaya bits, rose petals, raspberry bits, and strawberry fruit granules with the green tea. It smells so good, but anyways, it didn't, see, the reason I say I don't know if I steeped it long enough is it seems pretty light, but it also doesn't have like a bunch of flavor, but the smell, solid scent. The smell is not, like, I would have thought, like I guess the flavor isn't as, like, not concentrated, but it's not as, I don't know the word I'm looking for, it's not as strong as I would have thought it was with how strong the smell is, but it is still really good regardless. So I guess I just want to open this by sharing what I think would be really helpful for any of you that are trying to foster and develop self-confidence in who you are, or if you're just trying to kind of figure out who you are, because I know that a lot of my audience is in like the 18 to 25 range, so it is young adulthood, and we are all kind of trying to figure ourselves out. And even if you aren't in that age range, these could still be some helpful tools for you that you might not know about, because I have had my fair share of like self-development type things over the years, but I just kind of want to start by focusing on the spiritual aspect of things, because I think that is the most important. So I want to just share a couple of tips that I have if you're trying to grow in your faith, as well as in, you know, who you are as an individual, because I think that we can't truly grow into who God has designed us to be if we aren't doing deep dive studies of the Word. So as you guys, as I almost drop it here, as you guys know, I usually reference this Bible in the videos just because, mostly, if I'm being completely honest, in Americanized Christianity, as well as in like the online community of Christians, most of the time people are reading for the English Standard Version. That is realistically why I wanted this particular Bible, is because it is the English Standard Version. It's by Crossway. But the other reason I wanted this one originally is because it is a journaling Bible, and I am a avid note taker. I mean, you can ask anybody I've gone to school with at any point in my life. I've always taken a boatload of notes. So I really like the journaling Bible solely for the fact that I can put my notes in the Bible with the text, which just makes it easier for me when I'm going back to be able to look and see what I got out of it before versus having to look in a notebook. That being said, though, if I am trying to do a more in-depth study of the Word versus just my personal reading, my personal study, whatever, I will get a study Bible. So I recently just purchased this one because my only other study Bible was a teen life application Teen Life Application Study Bible that I had in like, well, I want to say we used it originally in 7th grade, but in 8th grade for graduation they gave it to all of us because I went to a small Christian school. And so I like the translation and everything, and it was like really awesome for a while, but just a lot of the study pages, like the applications and whatever, don't really apply anymore because I'm not in high school or middle school anymore, frankly. And so I found this one on Amazon, and this is a New King James Version study Bible. This is the Women's Study Bible, and I actually just got it last night, so I haven't had a bunch of time to fully delve into it yet, just because it's been like a day. But so far I do really like the way that this one is set up. In particular, if you guys are new to the New King James Version, it's similar to a I would compare it to like a New Living Translation or a NIV translation, essentially. I mean, it does say King James Version, which scares a lot of people away from it, but it isn't really the these, the thous. It's more modern English, but it does still have kind of more of the depth of the King James Version, if that makes sense. So this one in particular, it's got, I'll just read the back of it if you guys are curious. I ordered this one because it has not only like the life application stuff, because I think I always enjoy that part of the study Bibles, because I have a lot of other Bible study tools that I use, like, let me look over here, a Bible dictionary and a Bible handbook I use, and then I also do like research and stuff online if I'm still confused. But then I've also I've gone to Christian school pretty much my entire life, and so because of that, I have a lot of the foundational historical stuff already learned enough that I just want to continue developing it. And I also am like, I devour books and things like that as well. So I learn a lot, and so I don't like when the study Bible portion is just like maps and stuff, because yeah. Sorry, I'm rambling. But so this one has, it's got different portraits of the different biblical women, which I think is really cool. I think that's beneficial as a woman that's growing into my womanhood, I guess. Like, I like to be able to have more in-depth, like, character overviews of the different women in the Bible, because a lot of study Bibles have those, but it's typically more so for the men in the Bible, which makes sense because the men are usually more prominent, just because, one, because they are supposed to be the spiritual heads of the household, but then also because in the historical context, that's what, was more prominent. But anyways, I thought that was cool. It has a bunch of different articles and stuff in here on different issues, which is another thing I like about study Bibles, is they bring real-world issues into Scripture, which I think is important. It also has like book introductions and outlines. That's pretty standard for study Bibles. That's another reason why I like them, because you get to know the history on the book before you start reading it. And then it does also have the maps, charts, timelines, family trees. Again, that's all pretty standard for a study Bible. And then it's also got a topical index and a concordance, which I always find really helpful, because I think it's kind of nice sometimes to be able to go by topic or to look in the concordance. Which, for those of you that don't know what a concordance is, it's basically like, it's kind of like a dictionary, but instead of having the definition of words, it has the different times that the words show up in different scriptures. So, like, for example, let me find a word that occurs a lot. Against comes up in Matthew 10:35, 12:25, 12:30, 12:31, John 13:18, Acts 4:26, Acts 9:5, Galatians 3:21, Ephesians 6:12, and Revelation 2:20. So it's stuff like that. It just kind of lets you take a deeper look at when those words are used in the Bible, which is something that's, again, really helpful. I am also going to start doing book reviews on this channel, or just book summaries in general, because I have, again, been reading a lot of books lately. But I'm currently reading, I want to say it's Rick Warren's Bible Study Methods. I think that's what it's called. But that one, he makes a really good point that if you're going to do an in-depth study, that is when you need a notebook out. That's when you need to have space to take in-depth notes. That's when you need to really be using the different Bible study tools, like Bible dictionaries, Bible, what are they called? Handbooks, stuff like that. That's when you're going to do your in-depth study. If you are just doing your normal daily devotions, I hate having notebooks for that. I would much rather just do it in my Bible, which is why journaling Bibles are so helpful, but at the same time, if I want to do a more in-depth study, that's when a study Bible comes in handy, just because, yes, you can just study from the Word, but it is more helpful, and you grasp more and get more of the historical context and things like that from the Bible if you have these other tools around. So, that all being said, there are a couple of other things that are, pretty normal to use that I think could help you guys if you're trying to not only deepen your faith, but also develop into who you are as a person, and that's just normal devotional books. I have used Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. I've used this one since, the 5th or 6th grade. I've read this one year after year after year, and so I'm debating on if I'm going to keep this and go back to it next year, or just get a new one in general, just because it's always really good, don't get me wrong. It's just when you read the same book year after year after year, you kind of want something a little bit different. And one of the reasons I have been reading so much lately and also delving more into the theology side of things lately is because my grandma was cleaning out her library of books and was getting rid of a lot of stuff, and so she let my mom and I look through it and take whatever we wanted to, just so she'd have less stuff to, take to Goodwill or donations or wherever she was going to end up taking it, I don't remember. But one of the other books she had was this devotional, which is the story devotional, and this one has been really good so far. The only thing that, the one thing I think about this one more than this particular one of Jesus Calling is that with this Jesus Calling, you have to look up the scriptures that they're referencing. And again, I don't mind looking up scriptures at all. It's just when it's 5 verses, I would rather it just be written out than having to continuously flip back and forth, because I'm not doing an in-depth study on my devotionals. I'm just doing them. I usually do this first thing in the morning because, frankly, I get up at 4:30 and I start devotions by 4:45, 5, and so my brain is not fully awake yet, so I usually will open by doing a devotional, then I'll go into one of the Psalms or Proverbs, and then I will go into whatever book or topic or whatever I'm studying at the time. So, that all being said, that was a very, very long-winded first portion, but the first step, I think, for anybody that's wanting to grow into who they are as a person, who's wanting to develop self-confidence, who's wanting to kind of just grow from their past or whatever, I think the most important part, I know the most important part for any of that is to get into your faith, to really get deep-rooted, to be able to actually know the scriptures for yourself, and to figure out what Bible study methods work for you. Because I know that a lot of people don't want to study the Bible because they don't know how to, or they have tried one way and it didn't work, and so they don't want to do it that way anymore. And that being said, what I do to study the Bible might not work for you. It's like cooking. What I like to eat might not be what you like to eat. And in the same way, the way that I get something out of studying the Bible and the stuff that I get out of the Bible is not going to be the same for you, most likely. So the thing about Bible studies and things like that is that it's something that you kind of figure out as you go, and you have to experiment, just like with making a recipe, to figure out what you like more and what you don't like. So that being said, definitely do experiments with it. Don't just try one thing, say that it didn't work, and only listen to your pastor. Because frankly, if you want to grow into who you are as a person, you need to be eating spiritual food and not living off of somebody else's spiritual milk. So, yeah, that sounds kind of harsh, and it is, but Hebrews tells us that. And I think it's important that we recognize that if we ever want to grow into who God is calling us to be, we need to know what He's telling us and be able to identify His voice on our own and not need somebody else to do that for us. So, yeah. One other tool lately that I've been using to kind of grow more into the person that I'm wanting to become and kind of learn more about the faith aspect of things. I know that I keep saying faith stuff, but is reading. Actually, both of these books are by the same author. That was a coincidence. That wasn't purposeful. But the first one is The Power of a Praying Woman by Stormy, and I'm not going to try and say her last name. But the other one is Praying God's Will for Your Life. Both of these are really good. I've been trying to learn a lot more about prayer lately just because that's something that I don't know that much about. And, I want to take my prayer life to another, to make it deeper, make it stand on a firmer foundation. So I've read those lately. But, actually, ironically, the next book is also that. This one my mom accidentally ordered 2 of on Amazon. So I got one for free. But it is the Prayers That Avail Much book by Jermaine Copeland, I want to say is his name. This just came last night, but from what I've read so far, it's really, really good if you guys are looking for just learning how to pray better prayers and how to pray at a deeper level. This is a really good starting place, as well as those other books. But again, I think that that's something really important as Christians. I think a lot of times we forget the power that we have because of the blood, of Christ that covers us. But because of Christ's sacrifice for us, we have direct communication with God. We don't have to go to a priest and have an animal sacrifice and all this stuff to be able to atone for our sins. That's something that we can do personally, but that also means that we can have a relationship with Christ and with God and with the Holy Spirit. And when you recognize that, there's a lot of power in that a lot of Christians don't recognize right away, I feel like. And that also really helps solidify, and just being in God's presence and spending time in prayer or whatever, that really, really, really helps transform however you're feeling. I lately have been just an emotional wreck, if I'm honest, and I don't really know why, but every time that I am, if I start praying, if I start to just remind myself of God's promises and, like, just stuff that, in the Bible, and then also personal ones that I've had spoken over me or have, like, kind of received directly, I guess, that's something that is a really good comfort. And I forget which of the two books, I just spit, I'm sorry. I forget which of Stormy's two books she said it in, but she was talking about how, if you ever wake up in the middle of the night with a nightmare, to just start praying. And I've done that, and I fall asleep a lot faster, and I don't usually fall back asleep into the nightmares as much anymore, which is something that I would always run into. I have really vivid dreams, especially the bad ones, and so it's nice to not have to fall back into that, which is a really random tangent. So, the next thing that I think is a good, you guys are going to laugh at me, but I think the next good way to really develop self-confidence and to really affirm who you are to yourself and to grow in that way and to grow in the assuredness that you are growing in the right direction is, ironically, not only prayer, not only spending time in the Word, doing in-depth studies, because that is definitely the most important. That is the foundation that you need. But I think another really important thing is figuring out your strengths, I think, I always make my friends do this, so, you guys are going to laugh, but the personality tests that are kind of more scientifically backed, people are kind of hard to confine to science, but for example, the Myers-Briggs test or the 16 personalities test, even though there's some controversy on whether or not the 16 personalities website is an actual Myers-Briggs test, but there's that. There's also the Enneagram test. This is a Enneagram journal that I found. I don't know. I've done a lot of research on the Enneagram by myself already, so this hasn't been probably as incredible as it would have been for me if I had gotten it at the beginning, but this is it's on Amazon, but our family loves Amazon, if you can tell. It's the Enneagram collection, and then it's the Enneagram type. I want to say it's a journal or something, but it's essentially what it is. It has, let me find parts that I haven't written in yet. So it's like a 21-day thing, and so it has kind of the reading that you do for the day, and it highlights different things that are like the weaknesses, the strengths, stuff like that, and then it also has, after that, each day it has little journaling prompts that you can do and things. And this might not be up your alley, but it's kind of something that helps you see things that you might be trying to hide from yourself, because I definitely do that to myself. But that being said, though, I also think that, and this is where it's going to get kind of dorky, making a love song journal is what it's called for yourself can be really helpful as well. This is mine is a really pretty one, and it's got Japanese cherry blossoms, I think is what they are, or what it was supposed to be. But this is a really nice journal that I bought at Barnes & Noble one day when I was there for too many hours. But you don't have to use the nice one by any means. It can just be an empty notebook that you have laying around. It can be really whatever. It can be online even. But doing a love song journal, I'll kind of run you guys through what I've done in mine. This was really helpful for me. Let me back up. So this was really game-changing for me in cultivating confidence within myself, because I don't know, I've never really had that much confidence in myself growing up. I was picked on because I was a chubbier kid, and then I lost a lot of weight when puberty hit, and then I also did not so great things to my body when puberty hit, which also contributed to my weight loss. under eating and over exercising, so that I know also contributed. But because of that, I went from being kind of bullied for my weight to then having a lot more attention from guys than I wanted, and it wasn't the right kind of attention, which was not great. But at that time, I was so unsure of who I was in myself that I have this thing where if I'm not feeling confident myself, I get into relationships that I know are not a good idea solely because I'm afraid of being alone, and that is something that I am definitely working on still. I mean, I've definitely gotten better at it over the years, don't get me wrong, but like just really affirming who I was as an individual and who God created me to be without having to connect myself to someone else. This was really it just really changed the game for me, which I know again sounds really dorky, but I was in a really bad place. Like when puberty really started to hit, it was just not a good time in my personal life either, and I was really depressed for a while and like suicidal for a little while as well, and that really tore down my confidence because it was like, I'm a Christian, like I can't be thinking these thoughts, and while counseling and stuff helped, I'm the type of person that I really don't feel comfortable sharing my emotions and things with someone that I don't know personally. I would much rather share it with a friend or a family member than a counselor, but at the same time, I don't want to share it with my closest friends either because I don't want them to judge me, which seems really weird, but that's just how my brain works. So, and not even that I don't want them to judge me, I just don't want to be a burden on them. And so, anyways, that was a long-winded answer, but I was in a really not so great place about a year ago now, actually, I think is when I started doing this, but I just kind of wanted to share what a love song journal is because I know this is one of the things that helped me the most in getting out of a rut and getting out of negative self-talk and things, and this was kind of the foundation aside, back up. This was the foundation for figuring out who I was as an individual, and it really helped me remember and establish that, you know what, yes, God loves me. Yes, God made me for a reason. Yes, I am here for a reason, and I deserve to be treated with respect and with care and with value. I'm so sorry, the lighting is so bad. Anyways. But yeah, so the Love Song Journal is essentially a collection of anything that makes you happy. So anything that makes you happy, personality tests and stuff like that. So I started off mine using the Myers-Briggs test. So I'm just going to give you guys a brief little overview of this page here. So this is just like the intro page because I had a couple of random pages in there already. And then this is the Myers-Briggs one. So I'll kind of read you guys what I did and just give you guys kind of ideas if you guys want to do something like this on your own, or just give you ideas in general, because I think that, again, the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram are extremely helpful, but there's also the Clifton Strengths Finders. That one is really, really, really good as well, but that one I don't know if there's a free version for, but I know the Enneagram and the Myers-Briggs have free versions available. But the Clifton Strengths Finders, I don't remember how expensive it was, but if you can afford it, or if you can find a book that has a test, has the test in the back of it, because it's an online test, but you can buy books that have the code to take it in the back. Whatever is the cheaper option, I would highly recommend doing that. It was extremely, in retrospect, it was really helpful for me to be able to learn that. But essentially the Myers-Briggs test, and if you take the 16 personalities one, you get 5 letters. But the Myers-Briggs test is a system of 4 letters that coincide with different, different personality traits, I guess. So the first letter is either I or E, which is either for introverted or extroverted. I am introverted, and there's another one I want to say where you can be like a combination of both, but I don't remember what that one is. But those are the first 2, and I don't remember what the next, so it's either E or I, there's N or S, there's F or T, and there's J or P. Now, I don't remember what any of the other letters mean, aside from the ones that I have. So I'm an INFJ, which means that I am introverted. The N is for intuitive, the F is for feeling, and the J is for judging. And then again, if you take the 16 personalities one, you either get a T or an A. A T is turbulent, and the A, I don't remember what it is either. So I don't remember, but I'm turbulent, which makes sense. But essentially, it has to do with kind of how your brain works. This is more the behavioral side of who you are versus you interacting with other people, although it does have the introverted, extroverted. This is more kind of your inner workings, your inner thoughts, that kind of thing. So with that being said, Myers-Briggs really, again, explains your inner workings and things. They have just kind of a brief overview. If you take the 16 personalities, it starts with a brief overview, then it goes over your strengths and your weaknesses, and then it goes over you in romantic relationships, you in friendships, you in your workplace, as parents, and then as career, work, relationships, stuff like that. So another personality test that I thought was really helpful in just figuring out kind of more why you tick the way you tick. I find psychology really interesting, which is probably why I love this type of thing. But it's doing the test for the 5 love languages. This one is free. It's online. There are 5 love languages. There's physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and like gift giving or gift receiving, stuff like that. So that is another one that can kind of help you understand why these are also really helpful if people that you know their types, because it helps you relate to each other better. Because like, I love physical touch. I am very much I want to spend time with you. I want to bond with you. I'm very much a physical touch type person. Where one of my close friends at church, they hate physical touch. They'll tolerate it, but they hate it. And so if I didn't know that, I would be like, well, why? I would feel shut out and blocked out, but because I know that about them, I know that that's not what they're trying to communicate. That's just, they aren't that way. So figuring out who you are and who others are really helps you be able to deepen those relationships and have less misunderstandings. Now, the next personality test is the Clifton Strengths Finder test, and I want to say that there are 34, 35, I don't remember how many, but there's a lot of strengths on that test. But you have your top 5 strengths, and those are really what help you connect with other people in the world. Also, I just realized I didn't show you guys this part. So I have my love languages, my Clifton Strengths stuff side by side in the journal. Not that you guys care, but I think stuff like that's pretty. But so the Clifton Strengths Finders test, that again helps you figure out why you work the way you work. For example, I have my top 5 strengths are empathy, achiever, futuristic, strategic, and relator. So the empathy and the relator are what really make me crave really deep interpersonal relationships and what make it hard for me to have a lot of them, because having a strength of empathy means that you really pick up other people's emotions really quickly, and when you feel things, you feel them really deeply. And so for me, I would much rather have a small circle of tight-knit friends than a huge circle, because that would just be a lot more draining for me. A reason that times that I see the achiever and strategic working together is that I remember being in first grade, okay, and we get homework in first grade, that's normal, but I would stress when I got home if I was supposed to play before doing my homework. I'd be I need to finish my homework first. What are you talking about? And that was the achiever and the strategic working together, because I always strive to be better. I'm a perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist, because that's not good. But that is what makes me want to continuously do more. And the strategic is what helps me know the steps I need to take to get there. And that being said, the futuristic and strategic work together, because the futuristic one, that's that you don't really live in the present, and you really focus on the future, and you dream about the future, and you just see all these visions for the future. But then also having the strategic paired with that makes sense why I like planning so much, because people always tell me I'm a dreamer because of that futuristic thing in me, but at the same time, I'm planning for it. I'm not just thinking, yeah, someday I'm gonna do blah, 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 blah. But I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna magically end up that's not, no. I'm always I want to do this, and I'll do this and this and this and this to get there eventually, which is why I also hate leaving things up to chance, but that's kind of what the whole faith is learning to not control everything. So it's a good time. But another test that could be helpful for you guys is a spiritual gifts test. That one's kind of more optional though, and more if you are interested in that kind of thing. I again think it is really interesting, and I also had to take it for a church thing in my freshman year of high school, I think. So excuse me. Yeah, so that's kind of up to you. But then another one that I know is really, really helpful is the Enneagram, which that's what this one is for. The Enneagram is it's Also, I want to say that all of these tests aren't like secular. I mean, they might have started out that, or I don't know if they even started out that way. I know a lot of them did start in churches, or churches took them on really quickly and found a way to implement them, but they're not like horoscopes or any of that stuff, because that's, yeah. Anyways, the Enneagram though, there are 9 different types, and you have a tendency to have one primary type, but you have what's called a wing. So for example, I am a 2, and so as a 2 on this thing, I can either have a 1 or a 3 wing, because those are the 2 numbers around me. So then again, for example, if I was a 1, I could either have a 2 or a 9 wing, because that's the numbers that are around me. But yeah, so this one is, I think, the one that's been the most helpful for me, because the Enneagram is how we relate to other people. Now, that being said, this isn't just how you relate to other people, it's also kind of why you relate to other people in the way you do. For example, I'm an Enneagram type 2, which means that I'm all about people. I want to have really deep relationships, and my biggest deep-rooted fear is that I'm going to be alone and that I'm not worth affection. So that leads me, which I can definitely tell you happens a lot, I tend to be overbearing, like, not overbearing, I tend to be, well, that too, but I tend to be aggressively loving in my friendships and in my relationships, and that can sometimes make other types feel like I'm trying to control what they're doing, even if that's not my intention at all, like I'm just trying to be helpful or trying to, I don't know, I guess helpful is the right word, but like, then if I don't realize, if like we don't have great communication, the other types tend to pull away when they feel that way, which then leads me to feel, oh no, I've done something wrong, I have to do more to win their affection back, which then ends up pushing people away farther. But then that, yeah, so like using that as an example, that's how type 2s interact with people. We are very aggressively loving with people, and that can either be a good or bad thing depending on how people are communicating on both sides of that relationship, friendship. Like when I say relationship, I mean relationship with any other person in general, whether it's family, friends, actual like romantic relationships, whatever it is. But like it's also like it makes sense when you figure out what your type is, and your type is usually the type where you're like, I wouldn't want to be that type. That's usually the one you are. But anyways, so that's the Enneagram part of the love song journal. The next thing that I think can be really helpful in a journal like this is, or like whatever you're doing, is to remember to do some type of self-care. I know that's something that is extremely trendy and whatever right now, but it's really important. And like actually, I know a lot of people are either going into counseling or social work because that's what I want to do. And that being said, all of the people that are in the field already have expressed how important it is to make sure that you are taking care of yourself as well, because if you don't, you doing those types of fields especially, but even just in normal life, you pick up a lot of trauma, and you need to be able to process that trauma, even if it's not your own, if it's vicarious trauma or that's secondhand trauma, like experiencing trauma by helping someone else through trauma. But you need to be able to take that time away to recoup, to recharge, whether that's reading your Bible and doing a Bible study, whether that's like the corny things like burning a candle and taking a bath, or if you really love to clean, make sure that you have a day that you can just like deep clean, like have a good time each week, or if it's socializing with friends, make sure you have that on your calendar. Whatever it is that makes you feel recharged and rejuvenated, make sure that you implement and schedule that time, either like as a small daily thing, depending on what it is, or a weekly thing if it's not something you can do as frequently. Now, another thing that I think is extremely important and was really helpful for me was having pages in a journal in your phone, whether it's like screenshots or whatever, but I personally think having it all in one place versus having screenshots all over the place in your camera roll is more helpful. But it's having words that people have told you that make you feel like that were either compliments towards you or we're building you up or whatever it is. So I deemed this the spread love pages. But so like, it's just things that people have told you that, made you feel really good, or that made you feel really appreciated and loved, and whatever it is. And just when you're having a bad day, being able to read those over and remember that people care about you and love you, and there's a reason why like people like you, it's really helpful. And then I have the And Be Light ones, which is another page of that. Sorry, I lied. I had more pages of that than I thought. That makes me feel so good. Even just, and like, this is really dorky too, but like, just do everything in different colors too. It makes it way more fun and like happy and just, yeah. Wow, I had a lot more pages of that spot than I thought I did. Okay. Another thing you can do is to have a wise words page whether you write a scripture that makes you feel good or you found a quote on Pinterest or something that you're like, I love that, I vibe with that, or someone says something that's really profound and you're like, hey, I'm gonna write that down. Having that as well to look back on is super cool and helpful. It's like having your own Pinterest board, but like in a journal, so it's cooler. But anyways, the next part that I think is really important to write down words that people have spoken over you. I know that I grew up in churches where this was not as common. Now I attend a little more charismatic churches, and over the years I have kind of transitioned from a more I don't know the word, like a more traditional church to one that is a little more charismatic. But over the years, like even like my one friend, ironically, it was the same guy that I had known that did it. She was at a coffee shop at one point, and there was this one guy, and they were like, there was a group of a couple guys, and they were like having coffee and talking, whatever. And one in particular was just really annoying her, and she didn't know why, but he was just like driving her crazy. And then the group of the guys left, but this particular guy stayed there, and he was writing something down on a piece of paper. So she's like, oh, he's like writing something down, and then he's gonna leave, whatever. And then he came up to her and passed her this note, and it was something that he had spoken over her. And I think that it's really cool how, like, God will use people and place people into your life to speak words over you, whether you're looking for it or not. And so I think, again, that it's really important to have those pages and to write those things down and be able to reflect on them, because not only is it cool when you can look back and think, wow, this was spoken over me and it's past or it's happened or I'm living in that right now. It's even if it hasn't happened yet, it's really, really cool to be able to look back and remember and remind yourself of what's coming. And then this is just kind of another random one. There was an inner strength test that I had to take for another class of mine, and so I wrote some of those down as well. But it's also really helpful in even if it's not like this type of journal, if it's just your random journal or even the notes app on your phone, make sure that if you're feeling overwhelmed, do a mind dump. Or if you're feeling stressed and you can't pinpoint why, just mind dump. Like, just start writing and figure out, like, a lot of times if you just start writing, your soul, your subconscious, your heart, whatever you want to call it, it tells you what's up. It's like, this is the problem, and you keep not listening to me, and I have this problem, but you don't care, and you're not listening to me. But, yeah, so, I'm sorry, that was a really long video. This is going to be really fun to edit, but, yeah, so I know, again, that this is not our normal type of video, and I do want to apologize for that. I also really wanted to share tools in particular that have helped me in growing in my self-confidence and stuff, because I can tell you now that the person I am now is not the person I was last year. It's not the person I was 2 years ago. Definitely not the person I was 2 years ago. But I think that it's really important to figure out who you are. Figure out, what you like, what you don't like, and spend time doing those things. Whether it's a new hobby or just doing your makeup because it makes you feel happy. I don't know. Like, I've always liked flowers, but then I dated this one guy and he loved plants, and so then I was like, hey, plants are actually really cool, and now I also like plants. And like, I think that it's important that as you go through life, you're gonna pick up these hobbies and skills, and you might not love them forever, and that's okay. But at the same time, let yourself have fun with them while you do enjoy them. And maybe it's a certain type of exercise that you love right now. Like, I used to love running. Like, let me back up. So, growing up, I hated running. Like, I hated it. I would avoid it at all costs. All costs. I hated it. But then, actually, no, let me back up. I hated it so much that my dad had this thing he used to say, and I was like, I'll take that as mine as well. He didn't see the point in running unless, like, a bear was chasing you. Then, that's when you run. And I kind of agreed with that. But then I had to run for school, like, because our school didn't have PE, so I had to do a sport, and so I was like, I guess I'll have to do cross country. And I loved running for a while. Now I hate it, but, I loved it then, and so I did it. It could be something like that. It could be a certain, like, type of cooking or baking that you're getting really into. Enjoy it. Love it. It could be folding your laundry. I know it's a weird hobby, but I like folding laundry. It makes me happy. But, like, do and spend time doing the things that you enjoy doing and cultivating skills in those things, because even if you don't love it forever, you'll always remember how to do it. But I think it's really important that all of us show more grace to ourselves and remind ourselves of the things we love to do and of, you know, like why we work the way we work. And I think the reason I think the personality tests and like this journal in particular are so helpful for me is that it made me feel like I was allowed to feel the things I was feeling and to have the emotions I was having and to, you know, like have the, not necessarily the hobbies, but like have the, like styles of doing things that I do. I mean, like, I have always been the type that like likes to bake for people or, you know, like do random stuff like that. And that is definitely not everybody. Like that's the two in me. I just want to like make stuff for other people, be like, hey, have this thing, make you happy, yay. But like, I don't know, and I always felt weird for it. I always was like, this is so stupid, and like I don't know why I work this way. And like I've always wanted to do the more like traditional, like feminine things. And it makes sense to me now because I know, oh, this is because my brain works this way. This is because this is the things that God made me good at. And I think also too that a really important thing with developing self-confidence, with developing into who you are as a person and who God called you to be, is trying out new things. Now, I also want to preface this by saying I hate trying new things. Like, I am the type of person, I go to a restaurant or a coffee shop or whatever, and I always order the same thing because I hate trying new things. But then, like, I don't know, a few months ago, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try a new thing every time I go in. I mean, I might hate it, I might love it, we'll have to see, but I may as well try it and see what I like. And I found some really good things, but I also found bad ones, but that's the beauty of life. We have so many opportunities, and God has made this world so unique and so vast that, you know, we get to try things out and see if we like them. And if we do, awesome, we can keep doing them and learn how to do them better. And if we don't, we at least tried it, you know? But I don't know, I really hope that sharing some of these tools helps you guys, because I know it really helped me over the years. And I also know that, again, the most foundational thing for me has always been doing the in-depth Bible studies. That was the wrong Bible for that, but like, it's doing in-depth Bible studies and spending time in the Word each day. And I really hope that is something that you guys really start to build your lives around, because I cannot tell you how transformational that is. I can't tell you how many things you will learn doing that, how many times you will have things reaffirmed to you doing that. I mean, it's incredible. And God is so good and so loving and so just amazing. But anyways, I know this video was not our normal type of video, and it was also really long, so sorry. But also sorry to myself because I had to edit this, so it's gonna be long. But anyways, I hope you guys at least enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to leave it a like. And if you guys want more videos like this where it's more just me sharing random tips and stuff, let me know either in a comment down below, send me a message on Instagram, or a comment over there. Like, I am down to film more videos like these. I just need to know if you guys actually want these or if you prefer just strictly Bible studies, because I can definitely do that too. But yeah, that's I guess what I have to say. But spend time doing the things that make you happy, guys. And I mean, seriously, like, you might look like an idiot for trying something new, whether it's dancing or, I don't know, something new. That was the only one that I had. But, you know, whatever it is, try it. And if you like it, that's awesome. Keep on doing it. And if you don't, at least you gave it a shot. And maybe try it again later to see if you like it then. But, yeah, I don't know. I hope that you guys realize how incredible life is. And so growing in confidence, growing into who you are, and truly stepping into what God's calling you to do, it's insane. Like, I can't tell you the personality shift that I've had over the past year. Like, wow. It's actually insane. Wow. Like, looking back, I can't believe some of the stuff that happened in the past year. I mean, wow. Like, it's craziness, and it's awesome, and God is so good, and I know that I've only gotten to where I am because of His faithfulness. But I really, 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 really hope that some part of this, like, can help you guys, or resonated with you, or it was something that you hadn't heard of before, and that if you take it and run with it, it's helpful for you as well. But yeah, I need to stop talking because I could ramble on for so much longer. But yeah, no, I really hope that this is helpful for you guys, because I know that this has been an absolute transformational thing for me, and I can't imagine my life if I hadn't found, like, if I hadn't really just stuck through and, you know, gone through some of the stuff that I did. And I'm so thankful for it now. And I also just want to encourage you guys, if you guys are going through any type of hardship, know that it will get better. Know that you're okay, allowed to feel your feelings. You're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to feel whatever emotions you're feeling, and you're allowed to. That's what happens when stuff happens. You're allowed to feel things, but at the same time, also know that it will get better. And if you guys ever want to talk about anything, I'm always in my DMs or comment section. Again, I'm pretty frequent on here, but yeah, if you guys ever need anything, like, I'm always here. Just let me know. I'm a type 2. I want to make everybody happy. But again, I really hope this video is helpful for you guys. And again, as usual, if you guys want to stick around, just feel free to subscribe or like join us on Instagram or anything like that. But I do want to apologize that this wasn't a Bible study, but I just really think that this could be helpful for you guys, especially, we're starting a new season of life, and we're almost, well, not really, we're in the middle of winter, but like, it's getting close to spring. But as usual, if you guys leave this video knowing nothing else, I hope that you guys know how loved and cherished and precious you are to the God that created you. And I'll either see you guys later this week or next week for a video. I did that in the wrong direction, but and yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.